got to be what I am to some degree, but I'd like to be lifted up. But it's just like, how seriously do they take it? I mean, how do you respond to that? The law cannot save you. It's like they constantly say stuff like this that it's like they don't listen. I know why they believe what they believe, and I accept it, and I acknowledge it, and then I try to point out, okay, I get where you're coming from. John 5 is your foundation, but have you considered that the whole Bible, we have to do the whole thing, and okay, because you can look, okay, it's either that belief means mental assent, and then all those other verses are either not for us or they don't mean what they say. Or maybe if we do a study about the history of the interpretation, what the people who spoke Koine Greek said that were appointed by the apostles and all in agreement about, they didn't go, where in the Bible does it say those false teachers who say you can lose your salvation? Why won't these people answer my request? Was it dumb and wrong that the entire history of the church admired the martyrs for going to their death because couldn't they have just said not to believe that they think Caesar is Lord? After all, you're not saved by your allegiance or anything. I mean, that was pretty self-righteous of them, thinking that they were going to go to their deaths for the sake of Christ. And then the Bible honors them as being under the altar in heaven, and God is going to avenge their death. Were they really stupid? So these people can't give an answer to that because their theology is garbage, and they don't want to hear it. And so part of me just wants to smash it to pieces because it's going to make a lot of people think that they're right with God and they're not. And then somebody innocent hears that nonsense and then they think they're right with God. And then they feverishly defend it as though it's the gospel, and it's actually trash. If you're a free gracer, I challenge you to tell me, and I will treat you with respect, and I will hear you out. I won't be mean to you. But I really want to know. I want to know, should we admire the martyrs? Why or why not? In light of what you say to me about my theology and what the true gospel is, I will give you absolutely as much time as you need, and I will be respectful and honorable to you. Who will stand in the breach? Come tell me. What am I missing? Should we admire the martyrs, and why? And how does that work with your theology? And then I would probably end up wanting to ask you questions, but I will do so respectfully and honestly. I would be willing to do this online or offline, or in writing, or in conversation offline. Somebody who truly believes in the free grace, come answer this. Or I don't believe you are serious about what you believe. Who will answer the call? Who will stand in the breach? I will give you time on. If you want to preach it, I'll give you the time and I'll publish it. Come tell me how it is. Are those martyrs a bunch of bumptious fools, self-righteous idiots, maybe not even saved? Or should we admire them for going to their deaths? After all, they could have crossed their fingers, or maybe even crossing their fingers and saying Caesar is Lord would be self-righteous. I'm not even sure anymore, based on what people say to me all the time. Either way, whatever, they could have said it. They could have said it with their fingers behind their back, and they could have bounced along, happy, go lucky, pouring sauce on everybody they saw. Is it honorable to not? Was Thomas Cranmer being an idiot when he spoke of his damn hand for having signing the document that recanted his words against the church, and then he ends up at the last minute going to his death, and he says he put his hand into the fire first because he called that damn hand that signed that recant to the church. But in the end, he stood for honor. Is he a hero or an idiot? None of that stuff matters, right? It's just self-righteous nonsense. Thinking people thinking they're saved by the honoring Christ and obedience, right? heck, they're probably in hell because they didn't understand the real gospel. Right? Wrong.